Welcome to FFCC's Off the Menu with me, Minnie Jacob. Today, the guest that I have with me has over 2 decades of experience leading culinary innovation, product development, and large-scale F&B operations, and that too across India, the UAE, and beyond. So meet Chef Deepraj Singh, Group Operations Manager F&B at the Lulu Group International. Welcome to the show, Chef.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Minnie. Good afternoon to all the viewers. First of all, I would like to thank FFCC for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this wonderful podcast. So, thank you for having me on.
Thank you. So let's start with the brass tacks, as I call it. What's harder, according to you, finding chefs with the right skill set or finding ones with the right mindset?
I think neither of them is difficult. What is most difficult is to get a combination of both of the attributes in a chef. So I can get a chef who is very good at with his knife skills. I can get a chef who's not good with his knife skills but has a very good attitude. But to get a chef with sort of good knife skills and have a positive attitude, that's a challenge. Having said that, we can always guy with a positive attitude, we can always sort of groom them into becoming finer chefs. But then that would take a lot of time and effort. And in a fast-paced environment like today's, right, it is sort of a little tricky to work it on. Personally, for me, the biggest challenge is to get a combination of a good chef with good knife skills and a positive attitude.
Right. And I guess another big challenge is keeping them from walking out the door, right?
That's a nightmare, to be honest. That's a nightmare at the moment. Everybody wants to just grow in a very short span of time. For chefs like me, who are those old school chefs, we used to take our sort of time and spending 2 to 3 years in minimum in one organization, trying to understand the basics of how the kitchen operates, how the entire production operates over there, and then sort of grasping that knowledge and then moving on. With this younger generation now, they want to work for 6 months, 1 year, and then just jump, right? So as you rightly said, the challenge is keeping good quality guys in. So I try and invest a lot in their training. And when I say training, it's not only training in the kitchen, but cross-functional trainings. So, they can be working in front of the house, get a week or a couple of weeks, go train them, train there with the guys. So that they understand what it is being in front of the customers directly in connect with them. So that is something keeps them interested. The other thing is, intra-kitchen training. So that's what my chefs, when I was growing in my career, that is what my chefs did with me. So I started with pantry, then they put me to tandoor, then they shifted me into Conti. So that is how, you keep the guys interested and they can grow in their career and then also sort of pick up new skills. The other important thing I try and work on is giving them enough time to have their personal space in and manage their work around it.
Wow.
A lot of time with the fast-paced kitchens that we have, we tend to neglect that part. We are all the time on the go, right? And that sometimes takes toll on your mental health, on your body as well. So I try and give them, that sort of time off so that they can come back, rejuvenate, and then, give their 100%. So I
Wow,
think that is something I look at.
that's truly an unconventional strategy, I would think, because anything to do with the kitchen, there's always the long hours and the stress and everything that comes with it. And actually, if you're giving time and space to the chef, to the team, that's, I think, amazing. So, I mean, did you have to unlearn something as a leader in order to keep the chefs with you? I mean, to retain them?
It's starting from the period when I started like 2 decades back. Things were different then. To now, things are completely different, right? So you need to unlearn a lot of things. The chefs I trained under, they were like my way or the highway, right? So as and when you work with chefs of that sort of thought process, you sort of tend to acquire a bit of that. So, I'd learned that I think quite early in my career. So I've let that go. That it's not my way or the highway. You need to give time to listen to the younger generation as well. A lot of times they come up with solutions to problems which we don't even think about. So the most important thing that I have done is keep your sort of ears and mind open and take as much feedback as possible. So I think that has been the biggest change that I have brought up in my work ethics.
Right, right. Uh, so, Chef, what would you say you had to unlearn as a leader to keep, your best chefs from walking out?
You know, the difficult part in kitchens is retaining talent. And what I have sort of unlearned to keep these individuals who are shining bright is to understand that everybody comes from a different background, comes from a different perspective, and it's always good to sort of be open-minded, listen to their ideas, and take the best out of it, right? With their youth and with experience on my side, if we amalgamate the two different concepts or ideas, I think the results can be really good. The other thing would be, having worked for such a long time in the industry, and the time when we started, the basic thought process of chefs was either it is my way or the highway. So again, that is something, I had unlearned to make sure that the talent stays.
Stay.
Grooming, nurturing talent in the kitchen is important, but if we don't give enough ear to these guys to be open-minded and listen to them and sort of, get their ideas on board as well, most of the time it puts them off and they suddenly don't feel comfortable working in that environment and then they leave. So, yeah, I
Right.
think those two have been the biggest unlearning experiences for me.
Fair enough. And of course, you must be having the tough job of handling egos in the kitchen. How do you do that?
So, egos in kitchen is all about my product is the best, right? So, what I tend to do is monthly I organize a chef's table where I get all these guys together on a table, discuss ideas, not to put down anyone. It is just to bring minds together to get the best out of the different ideas. That way, nobody is like, thinking that my recipe was selected or his recipe was selected, and so I'm the best. I try and sort of I give them a project. So I'll say, come up with a new Indian dish. And then I give them specific ingredients to work on. So I would give one guy protein, one guy veggies, and then I try and pick up ingredients and make a meal out of it. So that
Right.
way nobody's ego is sort of bolstered, and everybody is sort of on the same page. I
Fair
think
enough.
that's one thing, and the other thing I do is I do like a competition within the team. And that's where I give them free hand to show their skills. And it's not that, I don't do first, second, third. It's like all of you are winners for me, and then whichever the two best dishes are there, those go on the menu.
Right.
So, every month there is a different guy who comes up as the winner. So everybody is, how should I say,
Happy.
put in their place, right? The egos are put in their place basically. So
Right.
yeah, that's how I
Right.
try and manage. But it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
It's
And then
always
and then in between, you also probably have to balance the creative freedom with the operational discipline, in your kitchen.
so I try and sort of solve two problems with one arrow. So the ego problem, and as I said, I organize the chef's table, so I give them the free hand to then show their flair. And then, currently being in retail, we have our own challenges. So guys come up with sometimes they come up with brilliant products, but then they might not be suitable for retail, right? So then we have to sort of compromise sometimes. But then, yeah, during the chef's table or the inner food competition that I have, that's where they get their flair. They show their creativity, and as I said, the dishes that are sort of just visually appealing, taste-wise, they're good. And if they are suitable for a retail environment, then those go on the menu. So that's a bonus, sort of appreciation for the guys.
If you're talking, of course, you are looking into more of retail, but you've been with restaurant brands earlier. And if you were to think or talk about the blind spot that most restaurant owners have when hiring chefs, what do you think they overlook?
I think opening a restaurant is a difficult one, right? And especially if you are not experienced in the field, it's even more difficult. The biggest challenge I see is people want to hire chefs who are not very experienced to cut corners in terms of the salaries and the perks. They think doing that is going to help them in long term. Yeah, financially, your numbers initially would sound good, but then over a long term, is it going to help? No. So I think that is something that people investing in a restaurant business, they definitely sort of overlook without understanding the long-term damage it does to the business. I would suggest, invest in good quality people, pay them good salaries, retain them, because that's your opening team, right? They can
Right.
either break your business or they can make your business. So if
Right.
you don't have the right people on board, your capex might look heavy in the beginning, first 6 months or 1 year, because you're continuously investing. You're not taking out of business anything, you're just investing, right? Invest in it. And then long term, you will see the benefits out of it. I think that is a lot of entrepreneurs investing in restaurants. They, I think, miss that.
Right. So what would you say? I mean, if you were to give a suggestion to anybody who's opening a new restaurant, maybe one mindset shift that you suggest or one mistake to avoid, what would you say as suggestions from you?
Keep it
Of
simple.
course, when building a chef team.
Keep your menu simple, right? Don't overcomplicate things in the beginning. You want to keep, 10 products on your menu, keep 10 items on your menu. But make sure those 10 are the best possible products available in the market, right? A lot of times you will see menus which are like 4 page, 5 page, 6 page menus. You're overcomplicating your operations. So for a 4 page menu, if you have, let's say, 25, 30 products on the menu, you need to you need to have all those ingredients available. You need to do the mise en place for all of that. You need to have backstock available, right? Then you need to have the entire supply chain, formed around it. One supplier doesn't, deliver on time, your entire supply chain goes for a toss, right?
Right.
So it is just overcomplicating things. Go with 5 or 10 products, max to max 10,
Right.
but make sure those are the 10 best product offerings that you're giving to the customer.
But
Once you're sorted, once your entire back end is running like a, well-oiled machinery, then keep on adding one or two every month. And if those click, keep it. Otherwise, just take it out of the menu. Don't just keep on cluttering your menu. When I was with hotels and restaurants, that's what we used to do. We used to say, product of the month. If it clicked, we kept it. And then looking at our sales, we sort of removed the items that were not selling. That way, your customers are interested. And your back-end operations, which is the heart of everything, that is also kept simplified.
go through and
It just complicates the customer, right? And a lot of times, because you have sort of confused the customer even before they order, by the time your food comes in, I think the customer already is going into a negative sort of mindset with the food that's gonna come. Keep it simple, keep it clean, and please don't put any pictures on the menu of the food because it's not gonna come as what you show in the picture. So please don't do it.
I get your
Yeah, but
point.
then, if you look at a picture and if the actual product that has come and if it is 10% here and there, you have already made up your expectation based on the picture. And if it's not there, then it is just disappointment, right? So your
Absolutely.
entire pleasure of your meal goes away, even before you've had the meal, just by looking at the picture to what actually has come. So why to do it?
Makes
Let
sense.
let
That
it be a
makes a lot of
surprise for the
sense.
customer.
All right. So, one last question for you, Chef. What metrics or signals do you look at to gauge whether, your team, your chef's team is operating at peak performance?
Their motivational skills, their level, you know, the way they operate in the kitchen, the way they are communicating with each other. I think that those are clear signs. If your team is motivated, their skills are at par with the performance you're looking at. I think it will clearly show on your plating, on your food, and on your customer satisfaction survey. That clearly shows. So I think the way they move in the kitchen, the way they carry themselves, the way they are carrying the uniform. These are few simple points to check whether your team is motivated or not, or they are, are they going down, or they're still, gonna steadfast with you. Yeah, I think those are pretty simple ones.
Thank you so much, Chef Deepraj, for the candor and clarity. I think that's going to be very helpful to a lot of our viewers.
Thanks a lot, Minnie, for having me on the podcast. It's always a pleasure to connect with you guys, be it here in Dubai or through your podcast now. Pleasure to be there.
Thank you.
You
And
have a good day.
yeah, it's conversations like these that shape better kitchens for sure. So stay tuned. We've got more bold voices and untold stories coming up on Off the Menu. Thank you.
Take care. Goodbye.